Hello guys, welcome to this channel. We are going to learn how to solve real world problems relating to quadratic equations. Alright, so this problem here can be solved very quickly if we know how to solve quadratic equations by completing the square method or by factoring. Alright, so I'll try to solve with both methods here. So, but first, let me see if I can solve this problem here by completing the square method. Again, you can also use the quadratic formula to solve the problem when you have everything set up and ready to go. All right, let's go ahead and solve by completing the square method. So let's go completing the square method. All right, so this is what I'm going to do. First, I need to make sense out of this diagram here. So I have the wall, I have the length of the ladder. It's looking to be 13 feet, and I have the ground, and it's looking like from that stands for the length or the distance from the wall to the foot of the ladder. So I'm just going to make sure I capture that. All right, so now to go ahead and solve this problem here, I will just look at what makes sense here. If this is a wall and then I know that it is vertical to the ground, that makes it 90 degrees. Okay, we have a right triangle right here. So, and then we can apply Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so the Pythagorean theorem, which I call PT, is a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. And then we know the parts here. So a and b are the legs of the right triangle, and the hypotenuse is actually c. Okay, this is going to be for c, and we can call x a, and we can call the height of the wall as b. So we're going to substitute all this result here and see what the expression is looking like. So now I am looking at a is x squared and b is x plus 7. And then I'm going to wrap all of that up and set and square that, and c is 13 squared. So from here I have x squared plus, and it's a quick way to expand this expression right here. A quick way to expand that is to do x to the squared. Okay, then I'll do x times 7. Okay, x times 7 is 7x, and then I'll double that. Okay, this is a quick way to expand that. So it'll be 7 times x times 2. All right, that'll be 14x. And then next I'll take 7 and square that as well, and that'll be 7 to the squared, which means 7 times 7, and that'll be 49. Done. And I'm just going to say that to the square of 13, and that's going to be 169. So what I can do here is combine like terms here. I'll have 2x squared and plus 14x. So what I can do here is just subtract 49 from both sides because I want the constant number, or c, to move to the right hand side. So I'll subtract 49 from both sides, and that's going to give 120. All right, so it's looking good now. So now what I can do here is go ahead and divide both sides by 2 because I want to make sure that the coefficient of x squared is exactly 1. So I will divide by 2. So once I do that, it will lead to x squared plus 7x is equal to 60. All right, so this is where you do the robot stuff that I was talking about in class. So I'm going to take this 7, drop it, divide it by 2, and wrap it up with a square. So this is the number I'm going to add to both sides to make this expression here a perfect square. Okay, to make the expression on the right and I mean on the left a perfect square, I need to add this quantity here. I just nicknamed that in class, and I call that robot. Okay, so this is going to help me, or this is exactly like the key. Okay, so this robot here is going to help me solve this problem here, to help me complete the right hand side and the left hand side, make them complete squares. So this is what I'm doing, looking for. Okay, so this is going to be x squared plus 7x, and I'm going to add that quantity, which is 7 over 2 all to the squared, is equal to 60 plus 7 over 2 all to the squared. So from here, what I'm going to do now is to collect this x and collect this robot right here. So it will be x plus 7 over 2 all to the squared. Now the left hand side is now a complete square. So what happens to 7x is that it's actually 7x here. The 7x that we have here actually lives in here. It's actually there, but we would now have to just like pretend like it's no longer there so that we can have a in a perfect square. So this is what I was telling you about in class. So this is going to be x plus 7 over 2 all to the squared, and we just have to simplify the right hand side now, which is going to be 60 plus, and then I'm looking at 49. 49, yeah, that's going to be 7 squared, which is 49 divided by 4. So 49 is to divide by 4. So we're still good all together. So now I'm going to simplify this right hand side to see what I get. To simplify that, I'm going to divide 60 by 1, and I'm going to use butterfly method, and that would be 4 times 60. That's going to be 120 plus 120. That's going to be 240. Yes, 240, and then plus 49, and I am going to divide all of that by 4. So this is the expression I get on the right hand side. So let's go ahead and just finish it up from here. So I'm going to move up here, borrow some space so that I can do that. I get x plus 7 over 2 all to the squared will be equal to 289 over 4. Cool. So from here, I will take square roots of both sides and not forget to add plus or minus to the right-hand side. So x plus 7 over 2 will be equal to plus or minus the square root of 289 over 4. Good. So this is looking great so far. Yes, it's looking great so far. So and I know that I just took square roots of both sides. So this is what I did. Okay, took square roots of both sides, and I'm crossing that out. So which means I will be left with x plus 7 over 2 is equal to, I know the square root of 89 of 289 is, I think, 17. 17, yes, okay, 17. So let's do 17 over, and I know the square root of 4 is 2, so I'll do plus and minus. So now I can simplify that very quickly by subtracting 7 over 2 from both sides. So that means x will be equal to negative 7 over 2. Because I'm subtracting 7 over 2 from both sides, it will just cancel out from the right and become negative on the, cancel out from the left and become negative on the right hand side. So that's what I'm doing now. So I will just add my plus and minus 17 over 2. So I'm just bringing this quantity back and then just throw in the positive number to the other side to make a negative result. So this is what we have. And then we can see that we have the same denominator. So all we can do now is just combine, the numerators. So which means I'm going to have negative 7, okay, plus or minus 17 all over 2. So, and we know that negative 7 plus 17 will be 10 over 2, and then negative 7 minus 17 will be negative 24 over 2. And since we have a real world problem, this result here is negative 12, so that would not work. And then here we have 5, we have exactly 5 because that's 10 divided by 2, which is 5. So meaning that x is equal to 5 would be what we need to use here. So which means, because from the diagram we have the distance from the wall to the foot of the ladder is represented as x. So that means we have that to be equal to 5 feet. So that's how you answer the first question here, which is saying how far away from the wall is the foot of the ladder. So how far away from the wall is the foot of the ladder? It will be 5 feet. Now, for the B part, we are looking for how to calculate the height of the wall. Okay, the height of the wall is x plus 7. So that means the height of the wall will be 5 plus 7, which is equal to 12. That means we get 12 feet for the height of the wall. So this is going to be 12 feet. Then here we have 5 feet. So this is how you can solve with completing square method. Now let's go ahead and do factoring method. For factoring method, we're just going to borrow from what we already have here. Let's see what we have here. So let's borrow this. Let's borrow from here and see what we're dealing with here. Let's borrow this results from here. Okay, let's go from here because it's still going to be the same procedure. But then we have x squared plus 7x is equal to 60. So to use factoring method, we have to subtract 60 from both sides. Yes, and that leads us to x squared plus 7x minus 60 is equal to 0. Yes, and then from here now we're going to look at multiplying 1 times negative 60. That means the product will be negative 60. And then the sum here will be positive 7 here. Okay. So now we're going to look for two numbers such that when we multiply them, it would give negative 60. But when we add them up, it will give positive 7. So I know the factors of 60 that can give this result will be uh, uh, 12. Yeah, maybe if I do negative 12 times 7, that will give me negative 60. But if I add them, it doesn't give. If I add them, if I add these two factors here, it gives me negative 7, which is not what I want. So maybe I would just switch the signs here and do 12 and negative 7. So, but I know that 12 plus negative 7 here will exactly give me positive positive 7. It's a positive 7 and positive 5. Let me see what I'm doing here. Oh, I should have been doing 12 times 5 because negative 12 times 7 doesn't make sense. Oh my goodness. All right, let's go ahead and just change this result here. This is negative 12 times 5. So I'm just going to remove all this bad information here and I can correct that very quickly. All right, let's go together. So here again, it'll be that. And then I was saying that if I added them, negative 12 plus 5, and this gives me negative 7, and I don't want that. What I want is positive 7, so I would just flip the sign. So it would be 12 times negative 5, and it will be what? 12 plus negative 5. And I know that this result is exactly what gives me what I want. So I'm now going to plug in negative 12, positive 12x plus negative 5x in replacement for 7x in this expression right here. So this is what I'm going to do now. So watch what I'm going to do. So I'm going to bring down this 12 and this x squared. Then instead of writing 7x, I would write 12x plus, right, negative 5x. If you ask me, that just means 12x minus 5x, right? So I can just replace that with 12x minus 5x. So 12x minus 5x, okay? And then I am going to add, I'm going to throw in my negative 60. So it's negative 60, and all of that equals 0. So now I am going to group these two parts and these two parts so that I can factor. So when I group these two facts, I'll factor x from x squared and 12x. So this is what I'm going to do next. So I'm going to go up there and finish it off. Let me do like this. Okay, so that means I'm going to factor x out, and now we'll have x plus 12. I'm going to go to the second part. I have negative 5, so I'm going to factor negative 5 from negative 60 as well. So it will be negative 5. And if I factor out negative 5 from negative 5x, I'll just be left with x. But if I factor out negative 5 from negative 60, I'll be left with positive 12 because you're factoring a negative number from another negative number and you'll be left with positive number. So that's it. Again, you know that you're doing so good when you see these two expressions overlapping. So they are exactly the same. So again, we're good. So I'm now going to write them x plus 12, the two that overlap, and then I'll wrap it up with this other two that do not overlap, x minus 5. So here I'm going to set all equal to 0, all equal to 0. And then here I am going to apply the what you call the zero principle method. So zero product. Okay, the zero product method says that if you have this expression like this, each piece have to be zero. Like if you have a times b equal to zero, either a is zero or b is zero. Okay, because that's the only way this expression makes sense. Yes. All right, so that means x plus 12 must be zero, or x minus 5 must be zero. Now again, if you subtract 12 from both sides, you get a negative result, which does not apply to this real world problem here. So you don't want the length to be negative. So you can't get x equal to negative 12. So this expression doesn't help you get the answer. So, but if we do x minus 5 is 0 and add 5 to both sides, we get x equal to 5. So which is a positive number. So therefore, we see that we're getting the same results, just like we got this result here. So which means that the distance from the wall to the foot of the ladder, okay, will be 5 feet. Yes, it will be 5 feet. And then we know that the height of the ladder will be x plus 7, because that's what we're given, which is going to be 12 feet. I hope this is helpful a little bit. So thank you so much for coming here to watch this video, and I'll see you next time.